What's up, fellas, and welcome to another episode of How to Save America with me, the Goob. I wanted to cover some recent events and just kind of hammer in again the fundamental facts of the reality that we're facing. JD Vance is the profile picture. I've said repeatedly, and I mean it quite sincerely, that the government cannot and will not save you. They will not fix these problems. But what JD Vance did recently with the racist group chat, right, is a massive step in the right direction and was very powerful and very encouraging to see. He just simply said, I don't care. I don't care. You know, you're complaining about this racist group chat, and I don't fucking care. And that is huge. That's exactly what needs to be done. You know, you are the one that gives these labels power, right? When there's a bully in school and he says, hey, I saw Greg kissing Alan, you know, and he starts spreading a rumor. It's like the right reaction to that is not to freak out and go, no, you're lying. You know, like that gives that rumor power. It's to not care. It's to not care. That is what must be done. And recent events have really just so transparently validated what I've been saying about the left, which is that they do not care about these labels. They don't call you a racist because they actually care about racism. They don't call you that because, you know, they actually think you're a racist. They called Charlie Kirk a racist and killed him when he was the most Christ-like figure of our time, undeniably not racist, right? And they celebrate his death because it's about control. Telling people not to say retard was never to protect retards. It was always about control. That's what it's all about, right? And just to prove that the left truly does not care, you have Graham Plattner, who has 2 Nazi tattoos on his body. He is currently running for the Senate or Congress. He's running for something, right? And fully endorsed. No one on the left has come out to condemn him. No one on the left has told him he should stand down. He has multiple Nazi tattoos, right? They killed Charlie Kirk for being a Nazi, and yet they fully endorse Graham Plattner because they do not care. They never did care about these things. It's always been about control, and you are the one that gives them that control. Without the right giving power to these labels, they mean nothing. They only have power because of the reaction from the right. You have, you know, Matt Walsh and JD Vance doing the right thing, doing what needs to be done. But you have plenty of other people on the left who are going, oh, this is horrible. We must condemn the group chat. We must condemn the racism. It's unacceptable. It's unallowable. It's the right. The right is the one that gives power to these labels, not the left. The left doesn't care about them. They use them because they're effective, and they're effective because the right reacts to them. This is the point I was trying to make in my first video and in every video since, that you must stop caring about these labels. You must stop denying these labels, either embrace them or mock them or ignore them, right? But you can't care about them. They also have Jay Jones, also running for Senate or whatever the hell he's running for. He says, kill the kids. He goes, Trump supporters are Nazis. They need to die. And we should even kill their children. Kill their innocent children because they're being raised to be evil Nazis. No one's fully endorsed. He's fully endorsed. No one has condemned him on the left. They refused to ask him to step out of the race because they do not care. I left, by the way, I left the link in the description. So if someone does want to call in on this one, I haven't had the phone lines open for the previous episodes, but if you do want to have a conversation, we can. Right? But that's a guy who's literally saying, kill the children. And not in a sarcastic way or anything. Like, he very sincerely, he's made it very clear, no, I mean, I want the children actually dead. And they don't care. Fully endorsed. People are going to vote for him. And, you know, you can sit there and maybe you go, the people voting for him, they're not evil. They're misguided. They're brainwashed by the propaganda. Maybe you pity them instead of hate them. And it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like having a schizophrenic with a gun in a hospital, and he believes he's shooting cancer-curing bullets. And so he's going around shooting everyone in the hospital because he thinks he's helping them. In his head, he's doing a good thing. It doesn't really matter what the schizophrenic's motivations are, because the reality is that people are dying, right? And that schizophrenic with a gun needs to be stopped. Whether you pity him or you hate him or whatever you feel about him, the reality is he needs to be stopped. And that's how, it's the same with the left. Whether you think that they're just misguided, whether you think they're evil demons, whatever your opinion is about them doesn't really matter, as long as you understand the fundamental truth that the world they are trying to build is a world where you and your children have no future and that they must be stopped. Doesn't matter if you pity them or you hate them. A lot of the sheep need hatred in order to, actually stand against something. So if hatred helps you, then hate, right? If you're elevated enough that you can view them with pity and yet still treat them in the same way as if you did hate them because you understand that they need to be stopped, that's fine too. Don Lemon, another example. He called, what was it, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think he called a tranny. He says she looks trans as an insult, obviously, which obviously that is an insult. No one wants to look trans. That's a fucking horrible thing to be. Because again, they don't care. They don't. The left isn't out there calling for Don's head. They laughed at it. It is the right that gives these labels power. This is one of the most important things that I want you people to understand, is that truly, it's the right giving power to all of these labels. And if you just stop caring, it goes away. It's that fucking simple, and it's like you try and tell this to a child who's getting bullied at school. It can be really hard to do that. Like, even if you fundamentally understand it, it can be really hard to just ignore the lies being told about you by the bully, or even to lean into them and make a joke out of them. Look at what JD Vance did with all the memes about him. He could have reacted poorly. That could have backfired on JD. No, he just laughed with it. He goes, hell yeah, man, that's I'm Just Dance Vance, right? And he's more powerful than ever. Why? Because he didn't care. It's up to you whether you choose to give power to these labels or not, right? And just stop. Just stop doing it. It's that simple. Megyn Kelly, yeah. So, just JD Vance. He used to wear eyeliner while he was running for president, and that's fine. You can make fun of him or whatever. But I also, sorry, I didn't structure this a whole lot. I've got a lot of things to cover, but I get lost in the order of things sometimes. The left becoming radical and pushing their base right is deteriorating the right. They win, the harder they lose. I don't know exactly what you mean, but the right eating itself is a huge problem. Matt Walsh has the right idea. JD Vance has the right idea. You can't care about these things. There's I was just talking about hate, and it's like, am I promoting hate? I am, if that's what's necessary. And I'm sure someone will be like, well, what if that gets out of hand? What if the hate gets out? You're encouraging people to bully people. What if the bullying starts to get too far? That's a theoretical problem that doesn't exist currently. And currently, we have very real problems. There are very real dangers and threats and existential problems with America that exist right now. It's like, I don't care about some theoretical problem in the future when there's real shit to be dealt with now. So, if hate is your concern, fuck off, get that out of your head. We need a hell of a lot more hate on the right, because that's what sheep respond to, I'm sure there's also a lot of people who are, because I'm about to talk about trannies again, who are like, Goob, you're focusing too much on trannies. That's not the real problem. There's bigger threats, which I agree completely. It's like, if you compare the Muslims to the trannies, who's a bigger threat to America? It's undeniably the Muslims. They'll cut your fucking head off, and they'll parade it around the street, and they'll do so proudly, and they'll, Allah Akbar. It's not even close. What's the bigger threat? So why the hell am I focusing on trannies when there's things like Israel and the Muslims and all of these other things. It's because it's kind of like trying to teach calculus to someone who doesn't understand addition and subtraction yet, right? It's when you have half the country believing that men can be women, that men can be pregnant, that is such a fundamental fact of reality and life that they are getting wrong. You have, there's like an order of operations here, right? You if you can convince people that men can be women, you can convince them of anything. And you have these warriors. The left has warriors. The left is motivated. They protest. They go out. They, someone gets doxxed online and an angry mob shows up at the house, right? The left is active. And so it's like you can't deal with the Muslims. You can't deal with these other things because there's these radicalized leftist lunatics who are believing that men can be women. And you have to break that illusion and bring people a little bit closer back to reality. It's like, there was a recent video in the UK of a father kicking his teenage son out of the house and attacking him because his son was anti-immigration, right? It's like you can't even have these conversations and start pulling people back to reality about something that's that high, right? That's like calculus, trying to convince people that actually bringing endless Muslims in who are rapists and low IQ and, totally different culture and believe in Sharia law and all of this stuff. It's like convincing people that that's not actually a good thing for a white nation. That's like trying to teach calculus to someone who doesn't understand addition and subtraction yet. You have to start at the bottom. You have to start at the most fundamental base reality, which is that men are men and women are women. And you have to claw that back before we can even start addressing these bigger issues. I haven't, but that sounds completely 100. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. There's the thing is that people are sheep, right? People are sheep. The vast majority of people are sheep in this country, and they will just follow whatever the power dynamics are. And so the same people who are radical leftist warriors now could become radical right warriors. But that follows the power dynamics, that follows people standing up for themselves and making it clear that they don't care about the labels, making it clear that, yeah, I'm perfectly comfortable mocking and humiliating trannies and leftists and whoever else in public, and I don't give a shit. It's be the bully, right? And if that happens, yeah, a lot of the people on the left will come to the right. And the solution is not to reject them, but the solution is also not to debate with these people. Like, you're not going to change minds with debate. You're not going to change minds by showing people evidence. I don't know if you guys have these types of conversations like I do, but I've sat down with many a leftist and I've had long conversations with them. I've shown them evidence. I've walked them through step by step, like very simple, one logical step at a time. And it's talking to a brick wall. And like, there's exceptions to the rule, but it's like, okay, great. I just spent a month convincing this leftist. I brought one to our side after a month of intense effort. The debate, the dialogue, that's not effective. The rhetoric's not effective. What is effective are power dynamics, are bullying, are not giving power to the left when they call you labels, are mocking them, humiliating them, beating the shit out of them when they get aggressive with you, right? What wakes people up isn't sitting down and going, oh, Trump actually never said very fine people on both sides. Like, wow, I've been lied to the whole time. That'll work on a very small percentage of people. What does work on people, though, is getting punched in the fucking face, right? You get confronted in public, you get humiliated. That affects people. You see other people getting humiliated, that affects people. You see after they get humiliated, they get violent, and then they get the shit beat out of them. That really fucking affects people. That's why the left has been so effective, and there's a very good reason why this is a history channel. This started as a history channel, right? and I talk a lot about the erasure of history, the cover up of history, the rewriting of history. There's a very good reason why there's so much effort put into erasing and rewriting history. It's because nothing that I'm talking about is new. Nothing that's happening right now is new. This has all happened before. There's a playbook being followed, right? Like the reason that there was such a big push to end bullying 20 years ago, it's not because they actually cared about the retarded kids, right? They don't care about that. We've made that very clear. It's all about control. And bullying is how you control the culture. Bullying is effective. They removed bullying from the right. They removed bullying people to keep them normal, and they replaced it with this perverted form of bullying where the left dominates bullying and they bully people for being normal, right? And so, but again, like all of this is a plan. They're playing out of a playbook, right? This isn't nothing that's happening now is new. There have been books written by people smarter than me before I was even born, laying out exactly what these Bolsheviks, these leftists, whatever you want to call them, were going to do to America. And it's what's happening now, right? And it's imperative that you understand, regardless of what you think the left is motivated by, that you understand that the world they are building is a world where you and your children have no future. It's imperative to understand that the only way to stop that is not by trusting the government to solve your problems. It's not by continuing to acquiesce to the left. It's not by condemning people on the right for being racist or anything like that. It is by taking back control of these power dynamics and bullying the freaks, right? And not giving a shit about their labels. You know, I really encourage bullying trannies, not only because we must break that fundamental, you know, distortion of reality that men can be women, but also it's like the most vulnerable among us. In 2004, there was a study done. I think it was like 16 to 24-year-olds. They were checking what's the rate of tranniness, you know, in this young age group. And by 2004, it had already hit 4%, 1 in 25 people. I think we might be starting to reverse that trend. I really hope we are. But of course, it was, you know, hockey sticking. It was like going up faster and faster and faster. If that trend is continuing, we've blown past 5% already. You know, there are thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of kids who their lives are being destroyed by this tranny madness. They're getting cross-sex hormones and hormone blockers and surgeries, and their lives are being destroyed. And you can't save these kids by talking to them. I mean, they're children. They're in a home with their parents. It's like you literally can't pull these kids aside and sit down and talk to them because they're children. It's like you'll get fucking arrested or some shit. So the only way to save these kids is by bullying the freaks. Like, if you care about the lives of innocent children being destroyed, right? Everyone cares about the Epstein thing. Everyone cares about these kids getting raped. Honestly, what's happening to these tranny kids is worse than getting raped. It's significantly worse than getting raped. You get raped, you still have a future ahead of you. Like, it fucks you up, sure, but like you can still live a normal life. You can still have children. You can still be a complete person. You get your dick chopped off, dude, you're fucked. You're fucked for the rest of your life. You can never have kids. You can never be normal again, right? So, you know, whatever motivation you need to have, whether it's saving children or hatred or whatever, we've got to start bullying these tranny freaks. It has to happen. So there we go. Again, feel free to call in. Start making fun of it to its face, right? Like that is the now I get it. If you work with them, that is a different situation because you go to work there every day. I am not encouraging people to do things that will get them fired. You know, I would encourage you to push it, right? Try not to get yourself fired, but you know, do what you can do. But yeah, trannies in the workforce are a very serious problem. I don't know what you know, yours looks like, right? But I told the story, might have told it on Danny Polishchuk's show. I might have told it here. I don't remember, but walking into a barber shop and seeing a visibly mentally ill tranny working there. I mean, like very visibly mentally ill, like the underwear on the outside of your pants, kind of visible mental illness. Like their whole outfit was fucked, but the worst part was the boots they were wearing fit so poorly that the one boot, they were just walking fully in the ankle of the boot. The sole of the shoe was sideways and parallel to the ground, and they were walking around the shop in the ankle of this boot, working there, cutting people's hair. And like everyone in the shop was just acting as if this was normal. If that was an actual woman, if that was an actual biological female that looked like that, they would never be allowed into that shop to work. They'd be sent home. They'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what has happened to you? You're obviously, you know, something's wrong with you. You can't be cutting hair like this. You need to get the fuck out of here. Get yourself straight. Like, are you drunk? Like, what's going on? But because it's a tranny, there were like 3 dudes just silently sitting in there waiting for their turn to get their hair cut by this disgusting fucking freak. That is such a strong demoralizing like the level of demoralization that creates cognitively in people, it cannot be overstated. And you know, in my description I talk about how millions of dollars of propaganda are spent on propaganda every year. The reason why they spend so much on propaganda, the reason why they are so desperate to convince you that you are helpless, that there's nothing you can do to fight back and to push back against this, is because the reality is that the people actually do have the power. The people control the culture of America, despite all the propaganda, right? It is the people who control the culture of America. It is you who has the power. You can turn around the trajectory of this country, but you have to stop being afraid. And you have to, you know, start bullying people and not caring. You have the power. You really, truly do. And it is, again, you who gives the power to these labels. I gave 3 examples. Nazi tattoos, kill the children, trannies are disgusting freaks, all coming from the left within the last couple of weeks. And the left does not care. How many people on the right condemned the group chat, condemned the racist group chat, which had silly jokes, you know, about watermelon and fried chicken, compared to how many people on the left condemned, let's murder children? It is the right that gives the power to these things. It is you who is in control. And don't waste your time debating with the left, humiliate them, mock them. Don't waste your time either. You know, you can call out the people on the right who are feeding into this problem. I encourage you to call them out, but like, they're also probably a lost cause. Don't waste your time arguing with them either. The conversations that you need to be having are people who aren't a lost cause, people who are sitting there on the sidelines, maybe not sure, you know, but they're a rational person. And it's important that they understand that we are on the trajectory towards the UK, right? Even as blatant and as horrible as things have gotten over there, you still have people on the left, right? That father kicking his son out of the house because he's anti-immigration. He's like, I just don't want my people to be raped. And he's attacking his own family because he doesn't want his people to be raped, right? And so it's like, there's a lot of people who are just lost causes, but there's a lot of people who can be brought on board with this idea. Is it's like, oh, it is like school. It is like bullies. It's like the more I feed into that rumor, the more I feed into that label, the more I apologize for being racist or condemn other people for being racist. It's like I'm the one who's driving that. There are people that can be woken up to this reality. There's friends in your life who I'm sure can be brought on board with bullying some trannies along with you. You know, start hanging. The thing I encouraged in my very first episode: get off the internet, get into the real world. Right? It's these real world experiences that actually shape people's minds. You know, and earlier I'm sorry, I am scattered, but I was talking about how most people are sheep. we live in a country where a shocking number of people do not understand the question, what did you have, or what if you didn't have breakfast this morning? And that's not a dig at Black people. I know that the meme is for Black people, but like there's a hell of a lot of white, Indian, Mexican, etc. people that are functioning on that level where they cannot understand what if you didn't have breakfast this morning. There's no level of debate or argumentation or anything that convinces those people to come to your side. What does is power dynamics. You are in control of the power dynamics. It is up to you to take back control of those power dynamics. It is up to you to make bullying great again. And all of those people can switch just like that, from being ready to, kill white babies because they're white to, being ready to stomp a tranny's head in, right? It's people are sheep and they understand power dynamics and nothing else for the large part, very largely speaking. It's a fundamental fact of reality. I'm a very intelligent person, and constantly throughout my life, I have made the mistake of assuming that other people are like me. I understand things. I think logically. I think about things, morally and all of this stuff. And so like inherently, I have the assumption that like everyone does this. Everyone around me does this. And the reality is that's not the case. The reality is a lot of people are helpless sheep, and the only way to get them on the right path is through force. And I don't necessarily mean like bullying is force too. Mocking people is kind of a force too, but not passivity, not debate, right? Yes, you did have breakfast. And I in my earlier episodes, I talked about how close we are to experiencing vast left-wing terrorism. Slav, I'll take your call after I finish this point. Just stay on the line for a minute. I talked about how uncomfortably close, like no one wants to accept just how close we are to bombs going off in neighborhoods by the left. And that's true. That is true. But something I haven't talked about is the threat of right-wing violence, which we haven't seen yet, right? Right now, the left is dominating the violence sphere. They are the active threat, but there is a very legitimate and very real threat of right-wing terrorism as well. Many of the people who watch this show also watched Danny Polishchuk's show. If you remember the call-in from the right-wing militia guy, this was months and months before Charlie Kirk's assassination. A right-wing militia guy, calls in and goes, "We're ready. We're locked and loaded. We're ready to go. We're ready to start stacking bodies in the streets." These people do exist. They are real. Their motivations are legitimate. Their grievances and their anger is very legitimate. They're upset about the right things. I think their solution is the wrong way to go about this. If that type of thing starts happening, it just devolves into, this is a massive country. There's, everyone has a left-wing neighbor, a right-wing neighbor, right? Like it's very spread out and diverse in that kind of sense. There is no like civil war that happens. It just becomes open season terrorism from both the left and the right. And that's not anything anyone wants. And so while, yes, the left are the ones who currently present the threat, that right-wing threat is lingering. It is real. It is out there. And you don't want those dams to break. I do not want random people to be getting assassinated in the streets and bombs to be going off in neighborhoods. And we are either headed towards where the UK is now in very short order, or towards that type of terrorism in very short order, unless the left is stopped. So, Slav, let me go ahead and take your call. But Slav, don't get me banned either. I'm really small, so it's unlikely to even happen because I don't even have attention. But, keep it semi-reasonable.
No, I
Slav.
got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I've figured out how to pick the proper words in language.
I have no problem with you speaking your mind. Just tactful about it.
Yeah. So, first off, with the whole England thing, I don't know. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. They had like some news lady. She was interviewing like a little girl who was like outside of her school that had like a whole bunch of migrants arrested. And this little girl was saying like, "I'm not racist, but I don't want these men outside of my school." And I was like, "Bro, let me go to these comments because I better see this comment. I want to leave." And I saw it, and it was like, "Well, you not being racist is what got you here." And there's all these memes about, um, well, we gave up our nation and we lost everything we built up. At least we weren't racist. Versus, we built up everything we had. We resisted change, and we were called racist, but we didn't care. Like
Yeah, no, I agree
it's
with you
it now
entirely. I
now
just
for
want to
now now
reiterate the
now
point.
for no, but I'm speaking about Europe and England, where when there's a whole movement that I agree with, where they talk about I support all indigenous Europeans. I like the word indigenous when it comes to Europeans. They talk about paperwork is not heritage, paperwork is not blood, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, entirely. Like all these, like when somebody says, like you've seen the images of Miss Berlin, Miss Germany, all the contestants, and there's
Yeah,
only like three white women. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I don't care. Like I don't care how many generations you've been there. If you will never
Right.
Idris
If I
Elba.
move to China, does that make me Chinese?
If you're
Obviously not.
what is it, Jared Taylor, America's most calm and civil white supremacist, who we all agree with, was born in Japan. Is he Japanese? No, he's not.
Right.
It's the same way. Idris Elba, I don't care his accent. I don't care about any rapper, any actor,
Yes.
any performer. Yeah, I don't care how many generations you were born there. You look like you came from sub-Saharan Africa. You will never be English. The
Right. So
only
Slav,
difference.
here's the thing though, is that you're 100% right about what you're saying, and I'm not telling you to stay silent about this issue in any way, like keep pushing that issue. That's fine. That's great. But again, you're kind of trying to teach calculus to people who don't understand addition and subtraction yet. It's like
Yeah, no, no, no.
there is a reason why I've focused specifically on the trannies, is because getting rid of that lie, breaking the illusion that men can be women, is essential before before we can escalate to things like what you're discussing.
Oh
Not that
no,
they can't
dude.
happen
It's
parallelly; they can happen
I
parallelly
I
as well.
I
Like
I
I
I
said, keep
see I
talking
see
about it, but there
I
is an
see where
order of
you're
operations here.
I see where you're coming from, and one of the comments I left was, over this past weekend, there was like a humongous fight in England, like a physical altercation in like some underground tube station between a bunch of these cross dressers. That's what I'm gonna start calling them. I'm not calling them. You can't change gender or sex or whatever. I'm just calling them
Yeah.
cross
And the
dressers.
language
Yeah.
control is a big part of this. How many new words have, what the fuck is transphobia? That doesn't even, it's such a ridiculous thing. It's like, but all of these things have entered our lexicon. We've all used them, some of us more than others, but like we've all used the new speak. And this is all powerful stuff. We have to start reclaiming our culture, start calling people retards and faggots and
Well,
everything again.
I'm not going to say the specific group, but you know exactly which group I always refer to. It is a very stateless and wandering group who's behind all of these things.
Right, and
So
assuming that's 100% true,
it is,
again, it's
and they
like they
brag
can't
about
be
it.
dealt with. They can't be dealt with, so let's just say Israel, right? There's a lot of people who go, Israel controls the United States of America. Israel is the real problem. They are the ones who are the reason why the Muslims are coming in. They're the reason why kids are being trans. It's like, let's assume you're 100% right about all of those beliefs. How do you expect to deal with a foreign nation that controls our nation when, you know, half of our population believes that men can be women? It's like, it's not possible. You can't. There is no way to deal with that threat, even assuming that everything, you know, is true, in that you know, they truly do control everything, it's all Israel's fault. It's like, there's no way to deal with a foreign nation when our own country is consumed by madness. We have to bring sanity back to our own people first, and then we can start dealing with like the Muslims that are currently in our country. That needs to be dealt with. Again, you deal with home before you can turn outwards and go to war with
I
some
mean,
other
it's.
nation.
I
There's
mean,
an order of
yeah.
operations here.
I mean, first off, you're in Idaho. I mean, I already know that
I
there's.
don't know where that came
It.
from. I'm not, but okay.
No, no. What is it? I know you know. I know you're in the state of Idaho, and
I'm not.
oh, I thought you were. Wait, which
No,
state do
I
you live
don't
in?
think I've ever been to Idaho. I was in Virginia until very recently. I just moved.
Oh, which state do you live in? I
Pennsylvania now.
thought. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. I don't know where I ever got that from,
No,
but
dude, I
yeah,
lived
no.
in Virginia. And here's the thing, man. It's like, I grew up in a majority black school, right? I was in uh I was actually kicked out, expelled from the entire school system in third grade, and I went to what was basically it was honestly worse than juvie. It wasn't juvie. You went home at the end of the day, but like in inner city Pittsburgh. Um, I I lived in the number one most vaccinated county in all of America during COVID. Um, like there's no ignorance on my part. I have experienced these things firsthand, quite well, right?
Yeah, no. I was about to say, like, dude. Anytime I hear people talk about like, why am I so? Why do I speak about people who have a very different skin tone than you or I? I always want to. I always forget to. The one thing I wish I could always remember to ask them is like, or tell them is like, dude, you are so privileged that you got to grow up around those who never gave you the problem that I had to grow up around.
It sounds
That
like
you
you're
don't
moving
have this.
further and further away from your phone while you're on speaker, and it's
Oh
getting
my!
harder to hear you.
Wait, can you hear me better now?
Yep.
Yeah. So my whole thing is with those who are of like much different skin tone than you or I always forget to ask or tell them, I'm like, you probably are so privileged that you got to grow up around those type of people, or lack of such people, that you didn't, pick up my type of beliefs, because I grew up around the ones where I got, I'm racist because I had to grow up around them. You didn't grow up around the ones I did. And
I'm
I see it as, and it's like, I see that as them
I'm
being privileged. You know,
I would I'm not quite like you, Slav. I mean, I would be called racist by many people, and I don't care if you think I am or not. But I
oh,
honestly
I don't
wouldn't
care
call
either.
myself I honestly wouldn't call myself a racist. Um, but again, I don't care either way. You know, it's kind of like, I am not a Christian, right? But I encourage Christianity. I recognize that individuals are perfectly capable of being non-Christian and yet still being good people. I would consider myself one of those such people. But I also recognize that there is a very large portion of people in this country who don't even understand the question, what if you didn't have breakfast this morning? So I understand that
It's no. I
Christianity
understand
is
that.
good for the country. It's good for people in general, and that people should be Christian. They should be,
So,
you know, and so
what it is,
I similarly
I
with like
do, I
racism.
do. I am
The
100% with the
population has
whole.
problems, but I actually do look at people individually.
So I am 100% with the whole. How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? Can you imagine rotating an apple in your head? Blah blah blah. All those tests. But there is a form of collectivism, and some
Absolutely.
people that want to call it tribalism, and it's not just with the sub-Saharan, but it is the same with those of the Levant, the Middle East, where um, it only seems like it is
Everyone but
white
white
people.
people acts as a collective.
Yeah, but it is somebody can somebody of that community can do the most heinous thing, but they won't be condemned by their own.
Nazi
Like,
tattoos. Megan is a tranny, and kill the children. Yes,
yeah, but
that's my whole point.
yet somebody can stab up a whole train car, and not a single mosque will be like, that was a member of our mosque, and
No, if
we
anything,
can
they'll embrace it. They'll encourage it. They'll
or
regard
they
them as a
will, or
hero.
even they won't even say anything. That's
Yeah.
it. That is a silence is violence. But my silence is somehow violence when I'm just like, dude, I just don't care. I'm
Right,
poor. I
but
want to be
Slav,
left
again,
alone.
it's you who gives power to those narratives. It is the right that allows that to proliferate. Without the right again, think about this. Like, I try and break this down into ideas that children can understand. And like I said, even when you explain this to a child, it can be really difficult for that child to actually go put this into practice, right? You have a bully that's saying that, hey, you kissed Greg, you're a little gay boy, you kissed Greg, I saw you, yeah. And it's like, it's really hard to turn around to that and be like, you're just jealous because I didn't kiss you, or like whatever, right? Like, but like, to not feed into that, to not give it power, is a really difficult thing to do. But it's also something that's very basic. It's something that we teach children. It's like, these are fundamental truths that need to be understood, and understanding them is one thing, but actually putting them into practice is another. And that is where the right is really falling short. And that's why, I say, don't waste time talking to the people who are lost causes. Take your time and find people who maybe they do understand this in principle, right? But they're struggling to actually put it into practice in reality, and
The
help them get there. Because that is
the
how we bring back sanity to this country. Is we
but
get it. Doesn't take everybody. 5%, 10%. If 10% of people on the right started truly not caring, if they started acting like JD Vance, where he's going, yeah, I don't fucking care, he's embracing his memes, he's leaning into it, he's saying, I don't care about the racist groups, you guys are
I'm
demons.
also
That is all it would take to create a massive pendulum swing back in our direction culturally.
I am still skeptical of him, and like I said,
Me too.
I
Me
do
too.
live in Texas, and there is not enough of a Republican outcry of, especially within their own group, of them embracing those from India and the Middle East. Because if you look at the elections the local elections that happen in Canada, you have guys who are in the Canadian so-called left-wing parties and the right-wing parties, but they're all the same guys wearing the same wraps on their head. And that is what's going to happen soon, where we have
Yeah, I mean, it's
Republicans
already
here.
happened in Michigan.
Yeah, where it's like, guys, this is like, no, we have to, like, I don't care what you want to call it. You want it to be, I don't care, like, people say, like, oh, people say, you hear people call me racist, but when you hear me speak about different groups of people, I differentiate on ethnicity. I am way more cultured than anybody who labels me, because I can tell all these different squints apart. I can tell the difference between an Asian, a
It's
Chinese,
good
Vietnamese.
for you,
I can tell
Slav.
the yeah, no, I can tell the difference, and I can tell the difference between every type of European, and Arab, and North African, and African, and all these different Latin Americans. I know how they all hate each other. I am more cultured than anybody who labels me. So we need to start doing that, but internally, where it's like it is literally gonna get to the point of, well, what kind of American are you? Are you like? like if you want to be a guest and you are not indigenous European, and when I say indigenous European, I mean from Portugal all the way to the Ural Mountains of Russia. And I'm excluding, and you know what? Fine.
You
I'm
want an
going
ethno
to
state, right? You want a white country for white people, yes?
anyone who is not of European origin between Portugal and the Ural
Right.
Mountains
Okay.
is
So
a guest.
let's talk
Is a
about that. Let's
guest.
talk about how that would be achieved, right? Because if that's what you want, you do understand that like pushing for that directly. It's like people talk about what would fix America, and they go repeal the 19th, that would fix America. Bring back the Naturalization Act, that would fix America. Deport anyone who's not white, that would fix America. It's like none of those things are going to happen, at least not
I
currently,
mean,
right? And
what is it?
pushing for those things is a complete and total waste of effort in the current dynamics that we have. It's like so much else would have to change before that would ever even be vaguely considerable, right? There's an order of operations here, and so you're not helping anything. Even if you're not hurting anything, you're not helping anything by pushing these extreme ideas of like, yes, we should deport everyone who's not white, you should bring back the Naturalization Act, we
How
should repeal the
extreme?
19th. It's like those things
How
simply
extreme?
aren't going to happen. You know what can happen though is we can bring people back to the reality that men are men and women are women. We can
Well,
break that illusion, and then once that domino falls, that lines up the next domino, and we can go, hey, let's look at what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan. Why are we having politicians in governments that are run by foreign-born people who believe in Sharia law, and are wanting to
how
behead
extreme?
Americans in the streets? It's like, but again, calculus to people who can't even count. I do like your version better, Mr. Galunas. It doesn't produce anything. It doesn't yield any results. Even if ultimately you believe that's what must happen to save the country, that's not going to happen now. And
How
pushing for
extreme
it
was
now
prohibition?
isn't going to
How
help things.
how extreme was Volstead Act and its repeal? That was two. That was two amendments. That prohibition was one amendment, and then its repeal was another amendment that followed. What 9 years after? Like
Okay,
I'm
okay,
not
but
I'm not
the
gonna say
culture,
I
the entire
I'm gonna
culture
say what
of
I'm gonna say is these things will not happen overnight. It will not happen in a year or 5 years. Like this is gonna that like what I want to happen. 50% of the way of what I want to see in terms of what I want to see happen, I'm not gonna see the entirety of it happen in my lifetime. I am willing to accept that fact. But if something gets closer to it, I am fine with that.
right,
And
but
it's going to have to start with. It's gonna have
pushing
to start with
directly for
people.
those things to happen now doesn't get us any closer to it. That's my point. The a little bit of sanity needs to be brought back, and I don't think that America being an ethno state is realistic. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, in terms
What
of
is
in
realistic
terms.
is stemming the flow of more people coming in. What is realistic is getting people to bully others, right? Let's talk about 9/11 for a second, right? So
Well, no, when I said
after
wait,
9/11,
wait,
I'm going to cut you
hold
off,
on.
Saab. I want to make a point.
I
So
just want to
after
say with the
9/11,
ethno state, just with the ethno state thing, all I'm saying is the people who are in charge and in terms of policy decision making, it should be people who've always. I'm not saying that we should not have any brown or yellow or black people.
okay, you're saying our
All I'm
elected
saying is
officials need to be American.
the people in charge should be European because if you look at through all of history, everyone okay, and I will
Yeah,
give
no,
a little
I think that's
concession to Japanese and Koreans. That I will that's fine with them. But
right.
in terms of it should be Europeans and Japanese and Koreans who hold the highest power in terms of regards to America-only policy decision-making on local level and
Right.
international foreign relations.
But
And then
again,
anyone who
you're talking calculus. You're not going to bring the average sheep on board with that idea right now when they still believe that men can be women. What has to happen is the culture must be reeled back in first before anything that you're discussing is even a vague possibility. I want to talk for a minute about 9/11. So after 9/11, there was quite a bit of Muslim hatred, and rightfully so, and it was a good thing. There was a study done by Pew Research, a global poll that was conducted across the entire world, and this was in the wake of 9/11. It was several years later, but it was in the wake of 9/11, and every single Western nation, the majority of Muslims supported Sharia law, right? So even amongst all of the pushback and hatred in the wake of 9/11, the majority, and this is before open immigration, right? So this is when they were being vetted, they were coming over legally, all of this. 9/11 had just happened a few years ago, and yet still in every single Western nation, the majority of Muslims supported Sharia law. Now, obviously, you understand that fact, and it's like, yeah, we need to get the Muslims the fuck out of here. That's common sense. It's common sense to you. It's common sense to me. It's common sense to people who are normal functioning human beings, as long as they actually understand the reality of the situation, which most people don't. Most people never saw that study. But it's never going to be common sense to the sheep who don't understand the question of, what if you didn't have breakfast this morning? Doesn't matter how much evidence, logic, or anything that you show them, they're never going to get it. And so we do need the sheep. We do need the sheep on our side. We need the sheep become warriors. The sheep do get active in the streets, right? They get activated, right?
I'm understanding what you're saying now. I understand what
right.
you're saying now.
The way that we get those sheep on our side, though, is by bullying, making bullying great again. And again, there's an order of operations of this. I think all bullying should be going on parallel. We should be bullying every freak. We should be confronting every demon. But there is a reason to focus on the trannies first. There is an extra importance there, because if you're thinking about this like dominoes, right? If you want to get all the way to the point where we make it so that only European American-born, European stock American-born citizens can be elected officials, it's like that domino is so fucking far down the line. Trying to tip that domino over now, the physics experiment where it's like every domino can knock down a domino that's twice as heavy as the domino before it, right? So you go 20 dominoes down the line, you're looking at a 10-ton domino. You can push on it all you want. It's not going to fall. You're not going to budge it. It's 10 fucking tons. But if you start with that very first domino, which is only half a pound, right? It can knock every single one of those dominoes over and keep on going up to 40 tons, 80 tons, 160 tons, etc. But you have to start with that first domino. The first domino is the trans. And so while you should be pushing, I'm not telling you not to push on that big domino. You can push all you want, but you're not actually going to push it anywhere until those earlier dominoes fall. So, work on all of these things in parallel. You can continue talking about these things. You can continue pushing for them. But there needs to be a fundamental understanding that they're not actually going to happen until the prerequisites are met. So the prerequisites need to be the focus. And the prerequisites are making bullying great again, bullying trannies.
Those prerequisites, I was going to counter. It's like, I do agree with the bullying. The only problem is I am the generation younger than you, and I've seen my generation and the generation younger than me
32
being. Well, I'm 30. Yeah, you're a few years older than me, I assume, right?
Yeah, that's 2 years. Not really a generation.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess we're the same. But I have seen bullying, like the effects of bullying.
What? Look that fucking old? What the fuck?
No. My bad. Let's just forget that. No, I'm just saying. Okay, you and I both can agree that we've seen the effect of bullying no longer have the same impact on the generation younger than us. Now, the youngest
No, I
generation
would
now,
disagree completely. Bullying has, if anything, a greater impact now. The thing is, bullying
the
is no longer
youngest
happening.
generation,
It's no
the
longer bullying used to be
between us,
normal. Bullying used to be
20 year
normal people
olds,
bullying
yeah.
freaks. Now it's freaks bullying normal people. The bullying still is very effective. The bullying is still very present. It's just on the wrong side. It's the left has dominated the bullying
Okay,
instead of
yeah,
the right.
I see what you're getting at. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's I think it is gonna have to be. I mean, first off, I think the greatest weapon we can employ with this is um, women who agree that we need to repeal the 19th. There like how Nixon talked about the
Again,
silent
it's just a
majority.
pointless conversation at this point. It's just a waste
No,
of
no, no.
time. That's not going
There
to
are
happen. Like
there
you can
there.
push for it, you can gather up your women, and maybe that will yield results sometime in the future. But like,
Do you know how
do you
many? Do you know how many
understand that the
right wing?
19th is never going to be repealed while half the country believes that men can be women?
There are. I mean, however much the news wants to talk about how there are outwardly right wing men who are secretly being controlled by their left wing female partners at home. There is a considerable amount that they don't want to talk about, which is kind of cocky left wing dudes who are sitting in cuck chairs watching their right wing girlfriends, getting fucked, and they're actually right wing women. Now, it is immoral of their own personal behavior, but there is a silent majority of women who are like, yeah, all these dudes and all this left wing shit is kind of like fucking us over because women
And
are so like there are women who are realizing, holy shit, we are driving ourselves into debt, and they're
yes.
like,
Now, do you want those women to stand up and be vocal and share their opinions and be powerful women going, yeah, we need to put a stop to this and end this, and you want those women's voices to be effective and actually reach an audience? You know how you
no,
build a stage for that to
I
happen
want
is by bullying the
no,
freaks,
there
is by
the one.
clawing back a bit of sanity to this population by confronting
No,
demons and
no,
bullying
there are
freaks.
women who like there are women
Yeah,
who are
but
like
you want them to stand up and
who they're
mask.
like
You're saying
ask
there's
him.
a good portion of these people that they don't talk about. You want those women to become more visible. You want them to feel free sharing their opinions, because right now those women share their opinions. Look at what's happening to
No, they need to share them
J.K. Rowling, the Harry
to
Potter lady. She talks about
uh,
anti-trans, and they want her dead. They want her dead. They want you dead. They want us all dead. That's really a very important thing to understand. They truly do want you dead.
I mean,
They're building a world where you and your children will be dead. You have to understand that. But like, yeah, they get a hell of a lot of pushback. They're not able. It comes with great
and
consequence to share such an opinion, and women are risk averse. Women go with the flow. They go with whatever the power dynamics are. They're followers, right?
but they're
Because
EQ.
they
So
don't
you know how
want.
there's male influencers and these Andrew Tate alpha male guys, and it comes across very abrasive and not very like people can't like accept it as much. But here's the thing: with women,
Right, but
like
those women aren't
all
going to
these alpha
speak
male
up. Those
influence,
women are
all,
going to stay in the shadows until we
no,
bring
no, no.
back
But here's
sanity
the
to the
thing:
culture through bullying.
all these annoying alpha male influencers who are kind of like plastic and fake as fuck on the surface and everything, and they kind of pretty much are, and they kind of do leave a bad taste. They they appeal to disaffected young men, and disaffected young men are actual a real thing, and they are visible in society and the effects that leave on nations, especially in the West. Now, are there disaffected young women? Absolutely. But you don't get to see it's not as visible as much because they can masquerade it. The only thing is there is going to have to be women who be like, hey, you're a disaffected young woman. I'm a woman as well. And I can appeal to you better and tell you how to live your life. You can reach a better life, and you will listen to me much more, and I can reach out to you way better than if a guy tells you, hey woman, shut the fuck up, I don't want you to vote, and just don't even question why. Versus a
Yes.
woman being like, hey, I can give you so many other things in life that I will tell you to focus on that can give you meaningful, some meaning in your life. And I can also explain to you in the second half of, please, this is why you shouldn't think about politics, and this is why it's a man's business. Because men can argue with each other way better than us.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's like there is a balance with all this shit.
Yes, you've made a great point. I'm gonna
Yeah,
mute you
go
now
ahead,
and
yeah.
make my own points. Thank you for calling in, Slav. I'll talk to you later. I am gonna address what you just said, though. Um, he's not wrong. He's entirely right. But it's like talking to a brick fucking wall with Slav. He doesn't seem to understand the fundamental facts that I'm laying out here, right? He wants these women to speak up and to present their truth and go, oh yeah, life's better and be influencers and all of this. And it's like, yeah, that's a good thing to want. That's a good thing if it were to happen. The thing is what I've been saying this entire time. I don't know how to break this down to be any more basic or straightforward than I've said it already. But that doesn't happen. Those women don't come out of the shadows. Those women, look at what's happening to J.K. Rowling. Look at what's happening to these other women who have done that. They get attacked viciously, and women don't like to deal with that. They're not men. They are different than men, and they're not as brave. They're not as tough. They don't want to deal with that. And so he's saying, yeah, there's all these disaffected women, and they stay silent. They stay unseen. And that's the reason why, is because they cannot share their opinions. Why? But look at leftist women. They're perfectly comfortable. They will celebrate abortion. They will rejoice in abortion. They'll have an abortion and throw a party and go, look at me, I'm so fucking, I just had my 15th abortion. It's like, these are disgusting, horrible things that they're doing. And yet they feel perfectly comfortable broadcasting it to the world. And why? It's because the left still controls the power dynamics. The left is dominating bullying. Bullying did not go away. Bullying is stronger than ever, but bullying is dominated by the left. The power dynamics are dominated by the left. And until that changes, none of this other fucking shit happens. None of this other fucking shit happens. None of it. That must be the thing that changed. And who changes that? It's not the government. Although JD Vance going, I don't care. That was a great way for, like, that was huge. JD Vance going, I don't care about the group chat was really, really big. Notice that that's not a government action that's taking place. That is a person saying words, a person expressing opinions. Those are the right opinions. Those are the right words. Those are the things that need to be expressed. And having that come from JD Vance, who's the vice president, is pretty damn powerful and impactful. And I was really excited when I saw that. But it's the government can't solve this. It is the people who control the culture. It is the people who decide who is bullied and who is not. Right? We have all this propaganda, and yes, propaganda influences people, but again, it's those real world experiences. It is getting humiliated. It is getting punched in the face. Those are the things that shape our opinions and how we act, not what the propaganda on the TV is, not what, the government does. We must take back those power dynamics. We must make bullying great again. Without doing that, nothing else happens. Those girls, those influencers that you want to be influencers, they don't become that until they feel comfortable expressing their opinions. And the people on the left who, celebrate abortion, they're going to keep doing that. They're going to keep saying, kill white babies, kill white people, do all this bullshit, right? As long as they feel comfortable doing it. And they will feel comfortable doing it as long as the left dominates the dynamics. And the left will continue to dominate the power dynamics as long as the right just keeps trying to keep its head down and keeps focusing on bullshit like repeal the 19th instead of getting into the streets, getting offline, getting into the streets and actually mocking and humiliating these people to their faces. And when they become violent, becoming more violent with them. I get that's, whatever. It might sound shot. It's what the left is doing. The left has no problem confronting you in public. And if you dare disagree with them, they have no problem, getting violent with you. And I'm not even suggesting that you follow the track of the left. I'm suggesting you be better than them. Wait for them to get violent with you and then just be more prepared than them. You're on the right. You should be in good shape. You should be strong. You should have friends with you. You should have pepper spray and whatever other equipment you need. And then you should beat the shit out of them because they're weak, faggoty soy boys, right? It's not even difficult to do what I'm suggesting. Mockery is very powerful. Humiliation is very powerful. If you're a funny guy, make jokes. The point is you don't respond. You don't feed into the labels, right? When they call you racist, you don't go, no, 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 no. You either just ignore it, you mock it, you embrace it. You do literally anything other than, shrink away from it and give it power. And until people are comfortable saying completely reasonable things like men are men, we're not going to have any of the bullshit that Slav is talking about. Like, Slav might be right about everything he's saying. It doesn't matter. It's completely devoid from reality. Without taking back those power dynamics, none of that ever happens. Not in a million fucking years. There's an order of operations here. And the first step is to make bullying great again. Confront demons, bully freaks, humiliate, mock, and ultimately, if they become violent, beat them. I can't break it down any more than that. I can keep saying the same thing over and over again, but like, this is the fundamental thing that needs to be understood. This is the fundamental thing that needs to be acted on. All of those other things, whether Israel is controlling our country or not, doesn't fucking matter, because we can't do a goddamn thing about it until those prerequisite steps are met. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream there. It's like, before I do, I'll clarify just a few things. One, I don't endorse everything that Slav is saying. I'm not going to go through and list, itemize, what I support and what I don't. I'll just say, I don't support everything. We're not on the same page, obviously. And people go like, what you're saying is extreme. You're encouraging bullying. You're encouraging people to respond to violence with violence. It's like, that's too much. It's really not. I'm like autistic, right? I say exactly what I mean. And most people don't do that. Most people will couch their words. They'll say 50% of what they mean and expect people to read in other 50%, right? It's like, if I were to say, hey, son, you're getting bullied at school. You're getting punched in the face every day by this retard, and you've kept just trying to acquiesce and that's not working. You need to punch that bully back. Son, next time that bully tries to punch you, I want you to swing back even harder and punch him back even harder. Not controversial. That's not a crazy thing to say in any way, shape, or form. I think the vast majority of people would understand that and agree with it. And even the people who disagree with it, we would be like, I understand where you're coming from, right? But when I say the exact same thing, when I go, hey, there's these lunatics on the street who are, out there, like, you wear a MAGA hat and they'll chase you fucking down. And when they do that, don't run away and be cowardly, fight back and stand up for yourself. Somehow that gets twisted into, it's like, Goob's promoting terrorism or whatever. It's like, no, I'm literally saying the exact same thing that you would say to a young child. I'm just not putting anything else into it. Like, exactly what I'm saying is exactly what I mean. I'm not promoting anything radical. Bullying freaks is not a radical thing. Humiliating people, mocking them, it's not a radical thing. When I say, confront these people and all this, I think people might be imagining you're running up and like sucker punching them and whatever. Like, no, I'm literally like, when I'm ashamed of this, right? But when I saw that hairdresser in the shop, I didn't bully them. I just silently left. I was stunned and shocked. I stood in the doorway for like 30 fucking seconds, just staring in disbelief at the view in front of me. But I didn't. I should have just been like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why is this person working here? Right? Like, what are you doing? This person is visibly mentally ill. Like, you're letting them cut your hair. You want that person who's visibly mentally ill to touch you with scissors. Like, you're insane. Like, that is what, I'm suggesting being done. And it's a massive broad range of reactions that could happen, so if someone does want to get a little bit more extreme, I'm not going to condemn them. That's a big thing on the right, like JD Vance, do not condemn the group chat. Do not condemn these people. There's a difference, right? If you're, I don't even remember the guy's name, but like the guy who went into the Piggly Wiggly and murdered random black people, I would condemn that. If that's the type of thing I would condemn, just like random violence, right? That's no place for that, right? But targeted bullying, yes, absolutely. And if you want to, Danny Polishchuk asked me when I was talking about this on his show, like, if I, what about race mixing? Should we bully people for race mixing? Personally, that's not something I would be likely to do, but I'll never fucking condemn someone for doing it, right? Stop condemning people on the right. Stop giving power to the people on the left who don't even care about these things. Plenty of people on the left are anti-race mixing. They don't care. They don't get condemned. There's literal Nazis on the left. They don't care. They don't get condemned. There's literally people calling for the death of children. They don't care. They don't get condemned. It's because of the right. So stop giving the left power. Stop condemning people on your side, unless they truly are doing something like just murdering random people. That's condemnable. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, fellas, and probably back to history next week. This channel, wasn't meant to be this, but in the same way that I stopped talking about old rocks and started talking about NAGPRA, because I realized if NAGPRA is not stopped, it doesn't matter how much I talk about old rocks. History is going to be erased and destroyed. So it's like someone needs to stop NAGPRA, or else what I'm doing is pointless. In the same way, it's like talking about old rocks or even NAGPRA is pointless if the entire fucking country is going to be lost. And we are on track for that. We are headed in that direction. We're either going to end up like the UK in very short order, or we're going to devolve into civil war, which isn't really a civil war, but is just widespread domestic terrorism from both sides. You don't want that either. So it's like, it doesn't do me any good to talk about old rocks when we're on the brink of no return. So I talk about this because I must, because other people are afraid to. Talking about NAGPRA did not do me favors in the alt history community. No one else covers it, not because they don't know about it, but because they know it's a dangerous topic, and you'll get a woke hate mob stuck on you, like they did to me. That happened to me as well. People wanted me dead for talking about NAGPRA, and I'm sure if these videos gain any traction, people will want me dead for talking about this. But it's the reality, and it's the reality that we must wake up to. We must understand these fundamental truths. They do want you dead. There's an order of operations. We have to make bullying great again. And even if you think they're just a sweet old grandma who's brainwashed by propaganda and she doesn't want you dead, but doesn't matter, because the world they are trying to create is a world in which you and your children end up dead. And so, like the schizophrenic with a gun in a hospital who's shooting people because he believes the bullets cure cancer, it doesn't really fucking matter what his motivations are. He needs to be stopped. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week with some history chat. Peace out, fellas.